Oh, listen to those church bells, wonderful. Well, I'm in Ross-on-Wye this morning, and I think Ross must qualify as possibly the prettiest town on the River Wye. Well, it's the last day of September today as well, so I love this time of year because I love the way that the leaves on the trees have started to change colour. So I think it's a really beautiful and colourful time of year. Oh, some canoeists up the Wye behind me. Well, Ross wasn't a place I really came to much when I was growing up in Chepstow, and I guess that was probably because it was that much further away. But again, I came to Ross in later years when I was in my teens, because I used to come here on the buses when I used to travel all over the Forest of Dean and Wye Valley. I did a few walks around Ross, so I've come back today to do another walk around Ross, and before I do so, have a look around the town itself. Ross-on-Wye is a small market town in southeast Herefordshire and on the northern edge of the Forest of Dean. Perched dramatically above the River Wye, it is hailed as the birthplace of modern tourism. Ross was central to the 18th century Reverend Gilpin, who spotted a great opportunity and then established the picturesque Wye tour. It comes as no surprise that Ross has long been a magnet for visitors. Walking from the riverbank towards the town centre, I passed the Man of Ross Inn, one of many places in the town commemorating the English philanthropist John Curle, born in 1637. He took a lively interest in everything that concerned the welfare of Ross, the education of the children, and in improving and embellishing the town. He planted trees in and around the town, with 2 or 3 workmen to assist with the manual work. He loved mediating between those who had quarrelled, and in preventing costly lawsuits between prominent townspeople. John Curle was generous to the poor, and spent all he had in good works. This was his house on the High Street, opposite the market house. The red sandstone market house, built between 1650 and 1654, replacing an older, probably wooden building, is a listed ancient monument. The market house has had many uses, including as a council chamber, law court, dance hall and public library. Today it is occupied by Made in Ross, a group of fine artists and craftspeople selling their beautifully handmade wares. It is also one of 5 tourist information sites in the town, where visitors can find maps, trails, accommodation information and leaflets. Regular markets are still held under and in front of the market house. Ross is famous for its excellent independent and specialist shops and galleries, where crafts, clothing, gifts and outdoor equipment sit alongside restaurants, cafes and hotels. Much of the town centre is designated a conservation area, and the market house is at its heart. Well, Ross really is a beautiful town. I think it's about time I started my walk. There were still a few more places in Ross I wanted to see before starting my walk, however, so from the High Street I took a stroll along St Mary's Street, where I came to the mock Gothic walls and Gazebo Tower. Built in the picturesque style in 1833 by Ross Turnpike trustees as part of a redevelopment that included a new road from the High Street to Wilton Bridge, the Gazebo Tower is one of the finest follies in Herefordshire and was originally used as a viewing point. Previously bequeathed to the town, it is now in private ownership and has been converted into living accommodation, It is occasionally open to the public. Nearby is St Mary's Church, which stands proudly overlooking Ross and the Wye. This beautiful, predominantly Gothic church dates back to 1280. It is built of the local red sandstone and dominates the skyline for many miles around. The tower was built in the 14th century, and the internal nave arcades were created in 1743. On the west side of the church is the prospect, created by John Curle, and today contains trees dedicated to local people, the VE Day beacon and the War Memorial. It offers superb views over the Wye and to the Welsh mountains. In 1696 the land was rented by John Curle from the Marquess of Bath and turned into a garden and walking area. In 2008, following heavy rain, Roman remains were discovered and excavated under the site. It really was now time to start my walk, so I walked through the churchyard and back into the town centre. I headed southwards along the B4234 and then left along Alton Street. I followed this as far as Penyard Lane, where I turned right to join a section of the Wye Valley walk. So that's where I'm heading. I'm going to be skirting around the bottom of that hill and then eventually climbing up onto it. That's Penyard Hill. At the end of Penyard Lane, there was a track leading into a small wood. I followed the waymarks for the Wye Valley walk, which led me through the wood until it emerged onto a field, where I began to climb more steeply. As I climbed the field, I was able to enjoy views of Ross and the surrounding Herefordshire countryside. Reaching the edge of another wood, I decided to leave the Wye Valley walk and turn left. At the top, I came to a broad forest track, where I turned left and followed it as it took a level route on the slopes of Penyard Hill. Penyard Hill is the prominent, thickly wooded hill that lies immediately to the southeast of Ross, and was once a chase belonging to the bishops of Hereford. I was really enjoying this walk, and as always, it was great to get away to try and forget about things happening in everyday life. However, I couldn't stop thinking about recent events, which were having a huge impact on where I was currently living. Just over 3 weeks ago, I had a text from my landlord, and it basically said, the message was, "I'd like to get your flat valued to see how much it's worth." And of course I thought, oh my God. So I texted him back and I said, "Does that mean you're looking to sell?" And he said, "Well, I don't know until it's valued." And I thought, well, you must be thinking of selling if you're going to get it valued. So it did go onto the market, and within a day of that happening, I had a phone call from the estate agent saying that they'd like somebody to come and who wants to come and have a view. And I thought, oh, a minute, that's quick. So anyway, the gentleman came and viewed it, he liked it, and then he put in an offer for it, which my landlord accepted. Wow. I looked online. I actually found 2 flats going that was owned by my previous landlord. My previous landlord actually owned about 4 or 5 flats. Now, before I came to the flat where I'm living now, I used to live in one of those flats before with my partner, and we were there for about 4 years. Now, when my partner and I were splitting up, she moved out, and then obviously I moved out from that place after she did and moved to where I am now. I knocked on his door and I said, I'd like to have a look at your flats. So I looked at the 2 that were available. One was next door to the one that I lived in with my partner. The other one was below the one I lived in with my partner. So I thought, well, this is lovely. I'm going to be moving now within, well, just over 3 weeks' time. So that's great. That's really a real relief for me. But to say, just within the last 3 weeks, my life has changed drastically. You know, 3 weeks ago, I was living in my flat where I am now, thinking I'm probably going to stay there for as long as I can. And all of a sudden, I'm moving out and I'm moving into another place. So yeah, it's, in that respect, it's really nice coming and doing this walk today and just trying to get away from it for a while.
Eventually I came to a fork, where a track dropped steeply down to the left. However, I took the path ahead of me as it went steeply uphill. Soon I turned right along a track at a T-junction. I was now heading west along a very pleasant route through the woodland, and could see large open fields to my left. At the edge of the woodland, I went through a gate and continued to Lorne's farm. From this elevated position, there were superb views to the left over the valley and the edge of the Forest of Dean. I followed the track past the farm and continued along the right-hand edge of a field by a hedge on the right. Looking to my left, I could see the few crumbling walls on the edges of the trees below, which are all that remain of the medieval Penn Castle. At the far end of the field, I turned right through a metal gate. I continued along a narrow path by the right-hand edge of the woodlands of Penyard Park. The path squeezed between the trees on the left and a wire fence on the right. My path eventually bore slightly left to enter the woods and head down to join a broad track. I turned right along this track, and just before it curved to the right on the edge of the woodland, I turned left down to a stile. I climbed it and continued gently downhill straight across a field. I had incredible views to my left across the open field, with Chase Wood dominating the skyline.
I know I came here a long time ago and my memories of it are quite vague, to be honest with you, but coming back here today, and I know I said this on a recent walk, something very similar, but it's just stunning and you forget how beautiful it is, really. So I don't know whether I get sort of more appreciative in my old age or what, but it really is absolutely stunning.
At the bottom of the field, I briefly rejoined the Wye Valley walk, from where I turned right along a broad downhill track to head back into Ross.
Well, it seemed only right that I end my wonderful walk today here beside the River Wye. And as I always say, it's been another wonderful walk. Like I said when I first arrived this morning, Ross-on-Wye must qualify as the prettiest town on the River Wye. Do I need to give a reason?